The views and opinions on this show do not necessarily reflect the views of ESPN Tucson 1490 AM, 94.9 HD Channel 4, or the Arizona Lotus Corporation.
Welcome to Spears and Ali on ESPN Tucson.
Justin Spears, I like that.
With Justin Spears and Ali Farhang on 1490 AM, 94.9 HD Channel 4, ESPN Tucson. Brought to you by Tucson Federal Credit Union, the Volpe team at Nova Home Loans, and Rightway Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
I want to be entertaining, but I'm not stupid enough to compare myself to Ali.
Man, I'm very excited to have the legend himself, Brent Brennan, Arizona football coach, join us here on ESPN Tucson. Good morning, Brent. How's it going?
What's up, Justin? Good to see you, man.
Good to see you. So it's been a minute since we've chatted. How's the offseason treating you?
It's been great. It's been busy. I'll tell you that. It's really interesting just as the calendar of college football has continued to change and everybody adapt to the way college football is moving. It has made May and June incredibly hectic months for us. Really nonstop, like foot on the gas pedal, no holds barred.
Redlining, if you will.
Redlining the hell out of it, buddy.
We're always redlining, man. Well, and speaking of just kind of the changes that are happening in college football, it looks like we're heading towards that 5-year eligibility model. What do you think about that and how that's going to change things up?
I think it's good. I think, when you have I think everything got complicated with kind of the COVID super seniors and just waivers and injuries and all that stuff. I think the idea that kids get 5 to play 5 and just let it rip, I think is a good deal. I thought progress was made with the, years ago when we got the 4 games and they could still redshirt. I thought that was like a good thing for young players and their process of development. So now that they can play the whole season, however it goes, I think it's really beneficial. I think it's going to benefit us because we are a developmental football program. We love recruiting high school players and helping them grow and develop into great players and great young men and being part of their process. And so I think there's value in it.
And then, college football, I mean, with the future of the bowl system and the conferences and everything like that, I mean, how important is it for Arizona football to be really good right now? And because if we go towards, having a super league, of course, the Arizona Wildcats want to have a seat at that table. Do you feel like that's where it's going? And how important is it for Arizona to be at that table?
I think for starters, I think it's always important for Arizona to have a good football team. And not just because I'm the head coach here, but just for what football means to this community, what the U of A means to this community. And, I just think, the city of Tucson, the university, football being a high performer in that arena is really, really important. And then if you look at it through the lens of how college football continues to change and morph and what that's going to look like from, 2-3 years from now when TV contracts come up and, conferences, start making decisions, what that is all going to look like, there's never been a more important time for Arizona football than right now.
We're talking with Arizona head football coach Brent Brennan right here on Spears and Ali. And you mentioned how it's a very busy time of the year for you guys, doing a lot of recruiting. I mean, really, it's ABC, right? Always be recruiting. But right now, it's a busy time. Tell us about just the summer recruiting and how that's gone for you and your staff.
Well, I think we're off to a really good start. I think that part of it we feel good about. I think our staff has done a great job of identifying, evaluating, and recruiting high-level players that are great fits for us in our program here at the U of A, people that we think can impact us early as players. And so I think, those visits are, that's also a different deal, right? Just the May, June visit window is so different than, when I first started coaching and just how that looks. But because it's complicated because you're bringing young people here when there's no school in session, right? So you're like, they don't have the opportunity to see how alive and just the incredible energy that surrounds just a day on campus at the University of Arizona. And so that makes it really, really different. But it's also, I think for the kids that are getting recruited, it's a good opportunity for them to take their visits, hopefully make a decision and then go into their senior year knowing where they're going to go and just kind of having the burden and the stress of that decision off of them so that they can play their best football and enjoy that time in their life. I mean, everybody remembers their senior year of high school football, Justin. Everybody remembers that time in their life. It's a special time. Your buddies, you guys have all been there together for, 3-4 years. You're putting in the work all summer, Friday night lights, the band, the students, the cheerleaders, the games. It's magic. And so I think by getting that decision out of the way, it helps kids have a better experience their senior year.
And then we hear from a lot of these recruits. They come out to Tucson, Arizona. They're shown around the facilities, the campus, all of that. And then it's like, all right. And then we ended at Brent Brennan's house, and we hang out with Coach Brennan and his family. What does a visit at Brent Brennan's house look like?
Well, that's proprietary. Could tell you, but I'd have to tell you. No, you know what? We really just have a great time. I think, so much of the kind of the foundation of our program is family, ohana, brotherhood, and our players are welcome in our homes, and our families are part of their experience when they're here, whether that's our wives and our kids, or our extended families. We got grandparents running around. We got, it's just everybody is part of it. And I think that's something for recruits as they're trying to make this very, very important decision. I think it's important that they trust that they're going to be sending their young men to be with good coaches, good people, good family men. And I think everybody tries to do a great job with that.
And you can't talk about specific players, but I mean, so far looking at 2027, man, you guys are really diving into Texas. Why is recruiting Texas? Why does that align with Arizona football and what you guys are doing?
Well, I think for us, the primary is always going to be the state of Arizona, right? Like we know that there's nothing more important than us doing a good job recruiting in the state of Arizona. There's excellent high school football here. And so that's an exciting part of it. But in terms of our location, I think we're kind of fortunate because we're boxed in between some of the best high school football in the country. If you're talking about Texas, California, Arizona, Utah, you know what I mean? Like that part of it's a real thing. And the fact that there's 4 teams in our conference in the state of Texas, we're always going to play a game down there. Tucson is relatively easy for those families to get here. There's direct flights. And so that part of it. And then also just like by numbers, Texas and California are 2 of the most populated states with Division I football players. So it makes sense for us to be in those states, pounding the pavement, turning over rocks, finding every kid we can find that might be a great fit for us.
Talking with Arizona head football coach Brent Brennan on ESPN Tucson and the Spears and Ali podcast. So, there were some unknowns going into spring ball, but, just from the early impressions of your team with the guys that you've added in the offseason, just how do you feel about this team and what it can do for this upcoming season?
We're all really excited about this team. They're putting in an incredible amount of work right now. Spring practice went really, really good. I think, when you start with someone like Noah Fafita, who's got a Heisman caliber resume, and you have just so many, those returning guys and the leadership in the offensive line and the defensive line, guys that have made impactful plays, guys that have played a lot of college football. They have a lot of snaps under their belt. The portal players that we added for the most part are also guys that have played a lot of plays. And I think that, for us, that's been a good formula, bringing in guys from schools that have played a lot of football. And so that the first time they get out there in front of a sold out Casino del Sol stadium, that they know how it feels. They know what it looks like, very different than a freshman, right? Like a freshman, some of our freshmen are used to playing in front of, 200 people, now all of a sudden they're going to be playing in front of, 50,000 crazy fans, going nuts for every tackle or every catch. And so I think those guys that have had the experience of playing in big time atmospheres, big time environments, gives us a chance for them to be comfortable, like stepping into the Big 12 conference.
Well, speaking of being comfortable, I would imagine you're probably more comfortable this offseason than you were last offseason. How do you feel
I hope not.
Well, go ahead.
I hope not. That's not going to get us better.
Yeah.
That's not going to – I'm not trying to do what we did last year. I want to elevate that thing.
Okay.
You know what I mean? We don't get the luxury of getting comfortable as coaches and players. It doesn't work that way because no one gives a damn what you did yesterday.
Okay.
It's all about right now and how we moving this team forward right now.
And then with that being said, though, I mean, just going into year 3, how do you feel about the culture and just kind of, I feel like things are definitely more settled for you now that you've been here for a couple of years and now you're going into your 3rd year.
Absolutely that way. I think we've added some really good pieces, and the players that have chosen to stay are having a great experience. because the culture is really healthy. It's something that we work on every single day. It's something that's incredibly important to everybody in this building. And I think because of that, our players are having a good experience here. I think it's accelerating their development. It's accelerating our chemistry. And so, how much can we lean into that as a coaching staff and help continue to put the players in the positions where they're leading the charge with our culture? They're leading the charge with Redline. They're leading the charge with how we do things every single day.
And the ringleader of that culture from the player's perspective is Noah Fafita. Going into his last year, you've talked about it, Heisman caliber, greatest story in college football. What makes him the greatest story in college football, and how has he gone about leading this group this offseason?
Well, it's great because you see him to continue to be more and more vocal, to step out in front, lead from the front. As you know, with Noah, he's not he doesn't seek the limelight. He never tries to make it about him. His success is always about everybody else. And I think that's something that makes him special as a leader. So when, he's pushing this team right now, the guys that are here, the guys that have been in the fight with him, they know what they're going to get from Noah Fafita. They know how special he is. They know how tough he is. They know what a competitor he is. And so now, how can he push that out across the whole team? You know what I mean? Because we got to do this thing together. That's how we're going to win here. We're going to win here with connection and hard work and redline and brotherhood and like kind of old school. You know what I mean? Like that's what's going to give us a chance to get the outcomes we want. But those things are developed right now. They're not developed in game. They're not developed on Saturdays. That stuff is developed right now, this time of year, when really the coaches aren't around very much and the players are out there and it's hot and it's hard and they got to attack it every single day. And Noah has to keep pushing that, which he does.
So we're coming out with our Mount Rushmores for Arizona Wildcats, and I put Noah on that Mount Rushmore alongside Chuck Cecil and Teddy Bruschi and Ricky Hunley. What do you think about that Mount Rushmore?
I think that's a great Mount Rushmore. I mean, there's going to be some guys that they're going to maybe say that you might need to add a couple more heads to that Mount Rushmore.
For sure.
I'm thinking about my buddy Gronk. He might have something to say about that.
Yep. Rob Waldrop.
Nick Foles, there's some guys out there that might have something to say about that. But I think, we are fortunate to have great alumni. The guys you mentioned, a lot of those guys are working here with us. And so it's fun that we have so many, Wildcat football alumni positively impacting our program every single day.
All right. Lastly, for us, Brent, 4th of July is coming up. I got to know, how you dressing up a hot dog? What do you put on a hot dog?
Oh, actually, I'm kind of boring, dude. I'm just a straight ketchup guy.
Ain't nothing boring about that, man. Nothing boring about that. That is our guy, Brent Brennan, Arizona head football coach, joining us here on ESPN Tucson. Brent, I know it's a busy time of year for recruiting in the team, and I know you got 4th of July coming up. So thank you for joining us. We appreciate you, and looking forward to seeing you out at Big 12 Media Day.
Yeah, can't wait, buddy. Can't wait. And tell Ali, dude, what's up? He didn't want to come to work today?
Dude, so he's on his way to Miami to watch the World Cup, Colombia versus Portugal.
Okay. I like it. Okay. All right. Let's go.
When I put out the tweet yesterday, he was really bummed. He texted me. He's like, "Damn it." I was like, "Don't worry. We're gonna redline for you. Don't worry."
Yeah, we're redlining. We're redlining this game tonight as a football program. We got the whole team coming to the house. We got USA, red, white, and blue pool party. Can't wait. We're gonna have a great time.
That's awesome, man. Brent, we appreciate you, man.
Great to see you. Bear down.